okay? So this whole week is going to be on fractions, and again, something to make sure that we're strong with, okay? Because even up to seniors, you know, still struggle with fractions, okay? So here are the keywords, okay? We're going to have the numerator, the denominator, we're going to have an improper fraction, and we're going to have our mixed number, okay? So make sure we have those written down. The numerator, the denominator, the improper fraction, and the mixed number. Okay, so again, make sure we have those written down, and let's let me know when we can move on. Okay, how are we doing?
Good.
Yep. We got those down, or a little more time?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, sir. Sorry.
All right, that's all right. Okay, so let's just go ahead and define them right now. And it should be pretty simple, right? Like the numerator, what is that? When we're talking about a numerator, what is that?
The top number.
The top number, right? And then denominator,
Bottom number.
the bottom number. So when we look at a fraction, the numerator is a number on top, and the denominator is a number on the bottom. Okay. In terms of, I don't know, just visually, what does that represent? So actually, the first question should be, what is a fraction? In your own words, how would you describe a fraction? Does anybody have an idea?
No.
I'm thinking right now.
Thinking? So let me see. Let's put it this way, okay? So right now I have this fraction, which is 3/8, right? And you know, visually, like they always say, okay, like we always use a pie or a pizza or whatever, right? For some reason, that's always the example. Okay, so we have this whole something. Let's just say it's a pizza, right? We have this whole, and how many slices is it split into?
8.
8.
Right? So 8 slices make up one whole, okay? That's what the denominator represents, okay? We're talking about a whole thing that's split into 8 different pieces, okay? So the numerator is gonna tell us how many of those pieces, in other words, are like shaded in, right? So let's just say we have 3 of the pieces, right? So that means that 3 out of the 8 pieces are shaded in, right? So that's a part of the whole, okay? We're talking about 3 parts of the whole, which is 8, okay? So a fraction is just telling you a part of a whole, okay? So the same thing I could say, I don't know, let's say I had 4/8, right? That means I would shade in 4 of the 8. Well, what can this be equivalent to, okay? 4 out of the 8 pieces, what is that? How much of the whole is that?
Four of 8.
Yeah, so 4 of 8. But if we think about it, how else can we express it? 4 over 8.
With the decimal.
Well, sure. Well, with a decimal we could, but let's just think about it. How much of the whole circle have we shaded in?
Almost half.
Half, actually, exactly half, right? So we could actually express this as 1 over 2 as well, right? Because if you look at it, let's just say we're going to draw another circle. And this time it's split into 2, right? If I shade in a full 1 out of the 2, I shaded in a half, right? And that's exactly how it looked like even when it was split into 8 pieces, right? It was still a half. Just to be aware, you know, that like obviously fractions are, you know, can be expressed in different ways. But in general, we're just talking about how many parts of a whole, okay? All right, so before we move on, let's talk about the improper fraction and the mixed number. What is an improper fraction?
When a bigger number is on top of a smaller number.
Exactly.
Okay.
So an improper fraction can be 4 over 3 or 11 over 5, 6 over 3, I don't know. All those can be improper fractions. And what is a mixed number?
When there's a fraction with a number on the side?
Exactly. So I could say 3 and 1/2, 2 and 1/4. Those are all mixed numbers, okay? So make sure that we have those examples down. Make sure that we're aware what they are, okay? Because we're gonna work with them. So just to visually see, okay, we have a number line, right? 1, 2, 3. -1, -2, -3, right? So remember from last week, what do we call these numbers? The negatives, the positives, and the 0?
Just draw it like this.
What is it? Amber, what do we call them?
Integer?
Integers, right? So where would fractions go in the number line?
In between?
In between, right? So when we're talking about fractions, we're talking about the stuff that is in between the numbers, right? In between the integers. And if you remember, this is called rational numbers, right? Rational numbers are the numbers that are in between the integers, okay? Again, from last year, but it's not as important this year. Just want you guys to be aware, right? And there's infinite amount of numbers in between those, okay? But they're so tiny that we really don't worry about them, right? They could be as tiny as saying like 0.000003. That's a very small number, right? So sometimes, like, you know, we don't even worry about really small numbers like that because they're just tiny, you know, they don't affect us at all, okay? Like, do you think it would be a big deal if we made a mistake? Like, let's say we had an answer and we made a mistake and said, okay, you made a mistake by 0.00003. Do you think that would really make a difference?
Yes.
I mean, not necessarily, right? Like, let's say the answer was 2 and for some reason I got 2.0003. That's really not that big of a difference, right? That'd be kind of mean if me as a teacher, I would mark that wrong, you know? And I'm just saying this is an example, you know? Those numbers are so tiny that they really wouldn't make a difference at all. okay? All right. So a couple of examples, and this is kind of how your homework is going to look like, okay? Okay, so let's say we have let's say we have 3 circles. And let's say 2 of them are completely full, and then the last one is shaded in only one part. How would we express this as a mixed number, first of all?
Two over 1/4
2, right? We have 2 holes,
over
and then
1/4.
the fraction would be 1/4, right? So 2 and 1/4. That's how we would express that. Okay. Let's say now that we have all right, let's just say this full thing, all of these are full, right? And this one is shaded in only 2 of them, okay? So we got 4 full ones and we got 1 that is shaded in with 2 of them. How would we express this as a mixed number?
2 and oh my god.
4 and 1/2.
I was getting somewhere.
So that's 4 holes, but then the fraction that's not 1/2, right? That's 3 parts, and only 2 of them are shaded in. So how do we express that?
Four and 2/3.
Exactly. Good job, Caleb. 4 and 2/3. Okay. So again, we have 4 whole circles, and 1 that is shaded in, 1 that is 3 parts that is shaded in only 2 parts. Okay. So 4 and 2/3. So your homework is going to be a little bit of practice on that. Okay. We're going to be practicing on putting fractions as mixed numbers. But then you're also going to have to turn the mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay. So let's just say we go back to 3 and 1/4 and 4 and 2/3. How do we turn a mixed number into an improper fraction? Does anybody remember how to do this?
The horseshoe. You have to multiply and add.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say that.
Guys are pretty good at remembering that. I haven't heard that one, the horseshoe. So in other words, what's going to happen is that we are going to multiply the bottom numbers. So 4 times 3, and then we're going to add it to the top. So the first number, 4 times 3, that's 12. We add it to the top. 12 plus 1 means that we're going to have 13/4. Okay? So we express it as an improper fraction. Now, let's do 4 and 2/3. How would we express that as an improper fraction? And again, we multiply the bottom and we add it to the top. So how would that look like?
14/3.
14/3. 4 times 3 gives us 12. And 12 plus 2 gives us 14. So 14/3. Job. So we're gonna practice putting numbers into, like putting or writing fractions, but then turning them into improper fractions. But then we're also going to practice doing it the other way around. So 11/5. Now, how do we go from an improper fraction to a mixed number?
You divide.
Exactly. So remember when we have 11/5, that's the same thing as saying 11 divided by 5, right? Remember we learned this last year? So how many times does, or sorry, not last year, last week, but how many times does 5 go into 11?
Twice.
2.
Exactly, 2 times. So that means 5 times 2 is 10, and we have 1 left over, okay? So knowing that, how would we write this as a mixed number?
One over 5 with the 2 on the side.
Exactly. That's right, Lily. So we have a 2. And then we have 1 left over, and we're going to write that over the 5. And that is our mixed number. In other words, the remainder that we would have had, we're just going to write it again as a fraction. Okay. So that's sort of the next step, right? Like if instead of remainders, we're going to write them as mixed numbers. Okay. So one more example and a couple more examples, and I think we'll be done. Let's say we have 3/2. How do we write that one as a mixed number?
One and one half.
1 1/2. Good. So remember that 2 goes into 3 once. And we have 1 left over. So we would write 1 1/2. Let's try 47/3. How do we write 47/3?
$15
You said 15?
or 14.
No, you're right. I mean, it's 15. If you think about it, let's say, okay, so 3 goes into 4 once, right? So then we have 1 left over. We're going to bring that down. And 3 goes into 7 5 times. So left over, we have 2. Okay, so it's 15. And how would we write the fraction?
Two-thirds.
2/3. That's right. Okay. So again, your homework is going to be about writing the fractions as mixed numbers, just like the circle examples that we did. And we're also going to do from turn numbers from mixed numbers to improper fractions and the other way around, okay? So we gotta make sure that we're gonna get some good practice on that, okay? So, last couple things, okay? I think Emily and Caleb, you guys make sure that we're signed up on Delta Math because that's where our homework is going to be, okay? The link is on the chat as well as the class code, okay? So you're gonna create an account and you're gonna put in the code. And then you're gonna join the class, which is Algebra 1, all right? So if you have any problems, let me know so I can help you guys out with that. Other than that, let's see. If you're missing any work, make sure to get it done, okay? Even if it's late, it's better than a 0, okay? So get that done and turn it in as soon as possible, okay, if you're missing anything. And again, the homework for today is on Delta Math, and you don't have to show any work, okay? Just as long as you get the 100, then you should be good, okay? So again, just make sure to get that done as soon as possible. You know, get it after this, go in there and do it. It's pretty easy. Just get in there and do some practice, okay? Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any other questions?
No, sir.
No? Okay. All right, so then I'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. And there's no more questions. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? See you guys.
Peace, home.
Bye.
Bye, love you.